Strictly star Oduba has been making headlines all week after revealing his secret addiction to pornography, which lasted for 30 years. Here's the moment that he shared that story with Paul C Brunson.
I was introduced for the first time to pornography.
At 9?
Yeah. I remember being very intrigued. Whilst I wouldn't say addiction set in immediately, the intrigue started immediately. I had to keep it quiet. This is the problem with this form of addiction, that even I could understand at 10. Shameful. It's so shameful.
Well, Ori joins me now alongside our Dr Amir. It's good to see you.
It's great to see you.
How are you feeling about all of this? Because it's had a huge reaction, Ori.
Lorraine, I've been overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Absolutely overwhelmed, because, you know, I was terrified.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Naturally terrified about the response, but I knew that this was something to do, that I had to do. And in the last 24 hours, the response has been incredible. So many people obviously have been so kind. The positivity, I've really felt it, but I think more than that, it's really resonated with so many people because that they know that there is a problem.
Yeah.
And I've heard from people who are suffering with their own kind of addictions, from parents who finally feel that they can speak to their young people, their children, about what they're seeing, what they shouldn't have seen, from teachers who know that there are behavioural changes in the children at their school and that they don't know what to do about it. Yeah. And, you know, you and Aisha and Joe were here on Tuesday, immediately reacting after this. The Loose Women were talking about this yesterday. And only in having those discussions, and I'm so grateful for everybody who's reacted and responded to me directly, how this has changed already publicly. You know, people are writing things up in the newspapers, giving advice, talking about the stigmas, talking about what's really happening societally. And that hasn't happened before.
No, it hasn't.
And I feel so grateful that
you
that's
mentioned
already
there's
started.
shame, and that's been something that stopped people from talking about this.
Yeah.
Because you were such a tiny, you know, you were 9 when this happened. And it's a, you know, was it not your brother's friend or somebody, it was an older person that introduced you to this, and it kind of is, you can see how easy it is to go down that road.
It's so innocuous.
Available, you know.
But what has changed, I think, now from when we were growing up is the availability, the accessibility and the level of content. You know, I think about the reason why I wanted to speak about this is because when this Children's Commissioner report came out to the public in July, I think, or August, you know, the statistics were harrowing. That children as young as 6 are being exposed to this kind of content, that it's normal for children to see violent content, that between 11 and 13 is the average age, 60% accidentally. And I thought that I genuinely believe this, Lorraine, that we are at the point of an existential public health crisis for young people, because what that they are seeing is creating the young adults that they're going to become. And I really believe that we have to approach this in a safeguarding way that we used to societally, whether it was drugs or drink or food disorders or self-harm, because this is one of the most dangerous side effects of the digital smartphone generation that these children are growing up in.
And you're right, it's sexually explicit, obviously, but violent.
It's violent.
You know, things like choking. I know that even just this week there was legislation brought in. But you sort of think to yourself, it's not enough, we have to go a little bit further. Yeah. And was that really why you wanted to highlight this? And do you feel, I just wonder if you feel kind of relieved that it's almost out there. It's like a weight.
Huge thing. It was a huge healing thing for me because I had been dealing with this, and there's almost this dual life thing that people, that addicts will go through. You have this kind of shameful existence on one side that lives in the dark, and then you have this public-facing or personal-facing projection that you need to uphold. And so it's been incredible to be received. You know, I wasn't sure that you would have me back on your sofa. So the idea that people are receiving this, and I just think that it had... No teenager is going to change their behaviour just because we tell them so, just because we tell them that this stuff is dangerous. So much of their understanding is through lived experience. And I thought that if what I have gone through might help another young person understand why this matters to them and maybe create a positive change, then it will be worth it. And we talk about violence, we talk about social media being how 80% of children are accessing this kind of content, that it is so accessible for them that in a way that there's kind of no escaping it.
No, that's true, and it warps their whole idea of what a sexual relationship is and what a relationship generally is.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing, and it stays with you forever. Dr Amir's here, and Amir, we are talking about this morning because of Ori, because of what he decided to share with everyone, and it has enabled a lot of people to have difficult conversations.
Morning. Yeah, I think this is really important. It's such a vital conversation that we need to be having with children. And I know we don't want to have it with children because we don't want to feel like we're exposing them to it because of these conversations. But the truth is, as Ore say, children as young as 11 and 12 are being exposed to sexually explicit material online. And it is really changing the way they think about sex, their expectations of sex. And also, before they have an ability to develop what a healthy relationship might look like, what consent looks like. And it normalizes behavior around aggression. It can normalize behavior around not having an emotional connection or not communicating with people who you have sex with. So those kind of conversations you need to be having with your children, grandchildren, if you're a caregiver. Create a safe space. Ask them if they've seen any of this kind of sexually explicit online content. Tell them it's okay for them to tell you about it and you're grateful that they have, and then talk to them about healthy relationships. Talk to them about how sex can be a fabulous part of a healthy relationship, but really importantly, talk to them about consent as well.
Yeah, no, that's the thing, isn't it? That's so important. Of course, you've got 2 children. Yeah. You don't want them to be growing up into a world where, you know, these kind of horrible images are the norm, that's what they think it is. So you've got to talk to them as well.
Absolutely, and you know what I have with my 7-year-old will be 8 in January, and he'll be only a year younger than I was when I was first shown these images. And actually, as I've spoken to him, I've been so surprised about his intelligence and his awareness about the digital age. He tells me about ads popping up and about strangers not being real friends. And he's 7. You know, kids are more intelligent than sometimes we give them credit for. And it's wonderful what Amir was saying there about safety and knowing that you are safe to come to your caregiver, to your adult, about something that is a real problem. And I think the harm comes not because necessarily just because children have seen this content. The harm comes because left to their own devices, they're going to understand it in their own way. They're going to self-educate. And we're seeing this with the likes of adolescence having been such a big conversation starter culturally for all of us. We're seeing it with this conversation about misogyny and toxicity, that children left to their own devices are it's going to affect their relationships. They're seeing this stuff on social media. It's being shared in the back of buses and in classrooms.
And they send it to each other.
And they're sending it to each other. And this is kind of this has become a language that children are exchanging between themselves. They don't necessarily know that they can come to us. So we have to open that safety. And don't get me wrong, a 14-year-old might feel that it's completely cringy to talk to their parent about this. That even if you bring it up, and they decide later to come up and talk to you about it, at least you've opened that window.
But you've given people the opportunity to do that. That's the thing. Do you see yourself as taking this and being like a campaigner, perhaps doing some documentaries on this and, you know, helping to change things? I mean... That's a lot to lay on you. It's a lot. Do
you know what? I remember this has been months in the making, talking about this, and I've spoken to so many family and friends, and again, the response was more than I prayed for about this. I knew that this was a topic that was going to resonate with a lot of people, and I never understood my role in it other than trying to bring my own experience to it and hopefully opening up that conversation. I don't think we can drop it now. No. You know, I think when we see how much our phones have changed our behaviour, I think when we see how much we are addicted to our phones, because we all would admit that our behaviour is being changed. You know, our behaviour is being monitored by a lot of algorithms, and AI means that the way we interact with each other has changed so much that we have to wrestle some of that power back, because I genuinely think that there is a crisis. And we have to look at it from a public health point of view, and it really will take... There has been legislation. The online safety bill did come in. I just don't think it's doing enough. I think that more needs to be done, and I would be desperate to speak to the Children's Commission who put this report up earlier in the year. I think societally we need to address the fact that there is a real problem, what we're consuming, the consequences of it. And then from us as parents, as caregivers, we can have these conversations with our children. And people are having them now, and it's amazing, but we need to keep doing it because this problem isn't going away.
No, it's not. Listen, more power to you. honestly, and thank you for coming in. And thank you for being so honest, actually. And again, like I said, allowing people to have these conversations that they do. Because, you know, we have to let kids know that relationships are great and sex is fun. And it shouldn't be something that's frightening or violent or all of these things. Oh, there's so much more we have to talk about.
And do you know what, the one thing I think about it? Addiction as well, there's such a stigma around it.
Yeah.
I think it was so important to say it's not about rock stars getting over drink and drugs. Addiction lives in plain sight.
Yeah.
It looks like this, you know, and I think it's important to know that some people are suffering in silence, quietly, shamefully. They don't think that they can share it, but the minute you start sharing it with people that care about you, you will see how accepted that you are. And as soon as you open out, you can see that there is a path to recovery into making the life that you want for yourself. You know, addiction isn't a choice.
No.
And people, as soon as they share it, will start realising that.
Ori, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
So good to see you.
You too, darling.
Thank you very, very much, and all the best to you. Hi there. Thanks so much for watching our YouTube channel. We upload new videos every single day. So click here if you're interested in this video, or head to the homepage for more amazing content.